What's going on, guys? It's Rafi here with another really interesting psychological bias. And today's bias that I want to discuss with you is called the action bias. And I picked out a really interesting example for it because it's just going to blow your mind, okay? So I was reading a book called Freakonomics where the author talked about this research that showed that in the World Cup, like the soccer World Cup, imagine if you're doing a penalty kick. The goalkeeper, statistically speaking, only ends up saving about 17% of the penalty kicks. 17%. Which basically means that the other, 80-ish percent of the time, they miss. They can't stop the goal, right? What actually happens is that 94% of the time, the goalkeeper either jumps to the left or to the right. Why do they do that? Well, the reason for that is not because the goalkeeper is seeing which direction the ball is coming and then making a decision based on that. They actually don't have that time to make that decision because by the time the ball has been kicked, it's too late to decide which direction to jump. So what the goalkeeper ends up doing is just picking one of the sides and just jumping anyway, hoping that's where the kicker is going to kick the ball. Fair enough. The reality, however, is that it's only about a third of the time that the kicker kicks the ball to the left. A third of the time they kick it straight down the middle. In fact, they actually kick it more down the middle than any other side. And then roughly about a third of the time, they kick it to the right. So if standing in the middle and stopping the ball by doing nothing and just using your body to stop the ball leads to the best outcome, why does the goalkeeper jump to the left or the right every time? That brings us to something called the action bias. And in the action bias, there is a phenomenon basically at play in societies, in our society and culture, where we absolutely despise inaction in the face of a negative consequence. In other words, imagine if he just stood there and the ball went straight past his left. The audience would be in complete outrage, like, dude, you didn't even jump for the ball, you just stood there. Or imagine if he stands there and the ball goes straight to the left. But realistically, as far as what the statistics show, he has the best chances, and what he should do is do nothing and stand in the middle. But people are not going to like that. They're going to go crazy, right? But if he jumps to the left or to the right, but the ball goes down the middle, he's still going to be thought of as, oh, well, at least he tried. So this shows that many times in our society, we actually blame inaction even if it's the best thing to do. Consider how many different other areas of life this bias actually is at play, where the best thing to do is nothing, right? But we still do something. We still try to do something just to make it seem or just to prove to ourselves that we tried. So I want you to think about this scenario and research it. Research the study on this and think about it and ask yourself, like, does this happen in my life in some situations as well, where I should just do nothing and that's the best thing to do, but I choose to take action, but that action leads to a worse outcome. So, very interesting bias. I think this pops up in many different scenarios in life. I can give you countless examples of where I think this might be popping up, but I'll leave you with this really, really interesting example from the Soccer World Cup, penalty kicks. So give it a thought and leave in the comments what you think about this one and whether you faced a similar situation or not. Rafi Chaudhry signing out.